The alien fleet broke through the black void of space, and Earth came into view. Once green and blue, the planet was now nothing but a white sphere wrapped in endless ice. To the alien eyes, it looked like a dead rock spinning silently around. The sun. The lead commander, Zirek of the Ver Dominion, narrowed his eyes at the frozen world. His voice echoed inside the bridge of the flagship. Scan it again. Life signs, energy traces, anything. The ship's sensors hummed, beams of light cutting through the atmosphere. At first, the readings came back blank. No heat signatures. No cities, no technology, nothing but frozen wastelands. The crew began to relax, but then a faint pulse flickered across the screen. A heartbeat. Slow, weak, human. The bridge fell silent. The commander stood tall, his scaled skin shimmering under the cold blue lights. Impossible. This planet froze more than 10,000 cycles ago. Nothing could live through this. The crew worked faster now, scanning deeper. One by one, more signals appeared, weak but steady, faint but undeniable. Heartbeats hidden under glaciers, locked away in the deepest vaults of ice. Humanity had not died. It had endured. The commander's second officer, a sharp-eyed female, named Orilla, whispered, "They are still alive." Her voice carried both awe and fear. Zirek's claws tapped against the console. "Bring us lower. I want to see with my own eyes." The fleet descended through the heavy clouds. What they saw was a world drowned in silence. Mountains buried under ice, oceans turned to solid plains of white, cities swallowed by glaciers, only the tops of towers poking out like broken bones. Lightning cracked across the skies, but no birds, no beasts, no movement stirred below, and yet beneath the silence, humans slept, waiting. The flagship hovered over what once was a great human city. The ruins of towers leaned out from the ice. Half-frozen bridges stretched across deep cracks, and shadows shifted below. Alien machines drilled into the glacier. The sound of grinding metal cut through the still air. Finally, the ice broke open, and they uncovered a vast chamber hidden far below the surface. Inside the chamber lay rows of cryopods, thousands of them arranged in perfect lines. The glass was thick with frost, but inside were human faces, pale and still, eyes closed in endless sleep. The aliens stepped closer, their glowing instruments scanning the pods. "These are preservation chambers," said Orilla. "They placed themselves here before the freeze. They must have known the Ice Age was coming." The commander studied the nearest pod. A man lay inside, strong shoulders, even after centuries of sleep. The frost had not erased the determination carved into his face. "Primitive species," Zirek muttered. "Yet they planned for the end. They hid. They waited." One of the crew gasped as the sensors beeped wildly. "Commander, this one, his heart is still beating, slow but steady." A low rumble filled the chamber. The ice around the pods cracked as the alien machines pumped warm energy into the vault. The frost began to melt. Water dripped down the glass. And then, with a sudden gasp, one of the pods opened. Steam hissed into the air. The human inside coughed, his chest heaving, his eyes snapped open, bright blue, burning with life. He looked around, dazed, then fixed his gaze on the aliens surrounding him. His lips trembled, but he forced out words. His voice was weak, yet carried ancient weight. "We knew you would come." The crew stumbled back. Orilla raised her weapon. "Commander, they are aware of us." This one spoke as if he expected our arrival. Zirek stared at the human, silent. The man's eyes followed him, sharp even after centuries of sleep. "How could he know?" the commander asked. The human tried to rise but fell to his knees. His body was frail, starved of movement, yet his will was unbroken. He pointed a shaking finger toward the alien insignia on Zirek's armor. His voice cracked, but the words struck like thunder. You were in our stories. The sky invaders, the ones who burned our world, the ones who promised we would never rise again." The chamber filled with a heavy silence. Orilla looked sharply at the commander. What is he saying? Did our ancestors truly destroy this planet? Zirek's expression was unreadable. He turned to his crew. Seal the chamber. Do not allow more of them to wake until we understand what this means. But it was too late. The energy surge that revived the first pod had spread through the system. All around the chamber, other pods began to glow. Monitors beeped, glass hissed, more humans stirred. Their breaths fogged the air. Their eyes opened one by one. Men, women, children, survivors of an age long past. The aliens stepped back in alarm. The chamber that had been a tomb was now alive with movement. Humanity was waking. Outside, the fleet continued to thaw Earth. Their machines pumped heat into the atmosphere, melted the oceans, and broke apart the glaciers. Rivers of water began to flow for the first time in ages. The planet shuddered, as if remembering what it once was. From the thawed lands, strange noises echoed. Cracks in the ice revealed tunnels and ruins long buried. Within them, human markings were carved into stone, ancient warnings written in languages the aliens could barely translate. Aurila's team studied the inscriptions. Look at this. They knew the freeze would not be the end. They prepared. They believed their blood would outlast even the sun, Zyrek growled. Superstition, nothing more. But in his mind, doubt grew. Why had humanity survived when every law of science said they should not? Why did their legends speak of aliens who looked exactly like him? Why did the first human speak as if he had waited centuries for this very moment? The commander's chest grew heavy. He had come here to revive a dead world, perhaps to claim it for the Dominion. Instead, he had uncovered a secret his people never intended him to see. Back in the chamber, more pods opened. Children cried. Elders gasped for air. Families clutched each other in disbelief. Their eyes adjusted to the strange lights of the alien machines. The first man, still weak but standing now, raised his voice. Brothers, sisters, the day has come. The Sky Invaders return. We must remember who we are. The humans turned to him, their faces filled with both fear and fire. They did not cower before the aliens. They stood, frail bodies but unbroken spirit. The aliens raised their weapons, nervous. Aurila's hands trembled. Commander, they are many. They may rise against us. Zyrek clenched his fists. He had expected to find ruins, not a reborn species. Now the future of his mission, and perhaps his empire, balanced on a single choice. Do they destroy this fragile but dangerous race before it grows strong again? Or do they risk letting humanity breathe once more? The chamber rumbled as more pods hissed open. Dozens, hundreds, the sound of glass shattering, the roar of new life filling the underground halls. And then the first child, no more than 6 years old, pointed at the alien commander. Her eyes were wide, but her voice was steady. That is the enemy from our legends. The words echoed like a prophecy. The humans gathered closer together, forming a wall of frail yet defiant survivors. The aliens tightened their grip on their weapons. For a moment, time itself seemed to freeze. The air carried only the sound of dripping water, the hiss of opening pods, the steady rhythm of human hearts beating against impossible odds. The commander stared at the humans, and for the first time in his long life, he felt fear. The frozen planet had awakened, and so had its people. The screen cut to black. The child's words struck the chamber like a thunderclap. That is the enemy from our legends. The silence that followed was heavier than the glaciers above. Humans, fresh from their pods, stood in confusion and fear, yet their eyes fixed on the aliens with fire that no ice had managed to kill. The aliens raised their weapons, beams of light ready to strike. The commander, Zyrek, did not move. His gaze locked with the child's. Here was the truth his people had buried for ages. Humanity had survived the impossible, and worse, they remembered. The walls shook with the sound of more pods breaking open. Steam hissed into the air as the chamber filled with cries and coughs. Human families clung to one another, their voices echoing off the frozen stone. One man stumbled forward, his body frail but his voice clear. "We dreamed of this moment. We dreamed the invaders would return." His words spread through the crowd like wildfire. Weak arms lifted, broken voices turned into chants. Even starving and half-conscious, they were not begging. They were resisting. Orilla, the second officer, whispered to the commander, "They are too many. If they gather strength, they will fight us. We should end them now." Her hand tightened on her weapon, but Zyrek raised his claw. "No, not yet." He studied the humans. These were not mindless survivors. They were organized, even in confusion. They were united by a memory older than his empire. If they were destroyed now, the truth of their endurance would also die. Yet if allowed to live, they could rise to challenge the stars. For the first time in his long command, Zyrek felt trapped between duty and destiny. The humans began exploring the thawed chamber, weak legs trembling but determination carrying them forward. They found containers of preserved food, long frozen but still safe. They tore into it with desperate hunger. Children cried as they tasted bread for the first time in centuries. Mothers wept as they held their young alive against all odds. The aliens watched in silence, their scanners beeping with readings that defied logic. "These humans should be brittle, useless," one alien technician muttered. "Instead, their bodies are adapting faster than we can measure. Look at their blood. It carries something new." Orilla frowned. "New?" "Yes. Their DNA is not what the records show. The cold, the radiation, the starvation, it did not kill them, it changed them." Zyrek felt his chest tighten. "Changed how?" The technician hesitated. "Stronger. Resistant, their cells regenerate faster. Even their children are born tougher than before." Orilla turned sharply. "Commander, we must act. If this is true, then they are not the same species we once fought. They are something more." While the aliens debated, the humans began to remember. The thawing chamber contained not only food, but relics of the old world. Metal tablets carved with warnings. Books sealed in protective cases. Weapons, crude by alien standards, but carefully hidden. The first man who had awakened, the one who spoke to Zyrek, picked up a rusted blade. Its edge was chipped, its handle broken, yet his hands shook as he held it. "This was left for us," he whispered. "They knew one day we would rise again." Others gathered around him. Their voices carried stories passed through dreams and myths. They spoke of the sky invaders, of battles lost, of a world burned before the ice swallowed it whole. They spoke of betrayal, of promises broken, of vengeance delayed but not forgotten. The aliens listened, unsettled. The humans did not sound like victims. They sounded like soldiers awakening from a long sleep. Inside the alien council chamber, aboard the flagship, arguments raged. "We came to revive this world for colonization," one officer growled. "Not to awaken demons from history, end them now before they grow." Another countered, "But think of what they are. They endured 10,000 cycles in frozen stone. Imagine what we could learn from them." Orilla slammed her fist onto the air table. "Learn? You speak of studying them like animals, but I see what they are. They are predators waiting to rise. If we hesitate, we doom ourselves." Zyrek listened in silence, his eyes fixed on the frozen world below. He remembered the words of the child sharp as any blade. "That is the enemy from our legends. If the humans saw the Vair Dominion as their eternal foe, then no amount of revival or peace would erase that memory." Still, something deep in his mind whispered caution. Destroying them might not erase their spirit. It might only prove their legends true. On the planet's surface, more vaults opened as the thaw spread. Each chamber revealed new groups of humans. Some were families, some were soldiers. Some were entire villages preserved in ice. One group emerged from the ruins of a mountain vault, their leader carrying a flag wrapped in frost. The symbol on it was ancient, worn, but the humans who saw it fell to their knees in reverence. They whispered words the aliens could not translate, but the meaning was clear. Unity, memory, defiance. Zyrek watched the reports come in. His crew grew restless. Every hour, more humans awakened. Every hour, they adapted faster. A report reached the bridge. "Commander, one of the young ones lifted a steel beam from the ruins. Our strongest labor units cannot match the strength he displayed." Aurila's eyes burned with alarm. "Do you not see? The freeze has made them monsters. If they learn to fight again, we will not be able to stop them." Zyrek turned slowly. "Perhaps it has made them more than monsters. Perhaps it has made in them what they were always meant to be." On the planet's surface, more vaults opened as the thaw spread. Each chamber revealed new groups of humans. Some were families, some were soldiers. Some were entire villages preserved in ice. One group emerged from the ruins of a mountain vault, their leader carrying a flag wrapped in frost. The symbol on it was ancient, worn, but the humans who saw it fell to their knees in reverence. They whispered words the aliens could not translate, but the meaning was clear. Unity, memory, defiance. Zyrek watched the reports come in. His crew grew restless. Every hour, more humans awakened. Every hour, they adapted faster. A report reached the bridge. "Commander, one of the young ones lifted a steel beam from the ruins. Our strongest labor units cannot match the strength he displayed." Aurila's eyes burned with alarm. "Do you not see? The freeze has made them monsters. If they learn to fight again, we will not be able to stop them." Zyrek turned slowly. "Perhaps it has made them more than monsters. Perhaps it has made them what they were always meant to be." Night fell over the thawing city. The humans, still weak but determined, gathered broken wood and ancient scraps of fuel. With trembling hands, they struck sparks against stone. Walema. Flame flickered, small but alive. The crowd gasped. For thousands of years, the world had been nothing but ice and darkness. Now, under alien eyes, humans lit fire once again. The flame grew. Children laughed. Elders wept. The people raised their hands toward the fire as if touching the sun. Aurila snarled, "Do you not see, Commander? This is the beginning. Fire leads to weapons. Weapons lead to war. We must crush them before the fire spreads." But Zyrek remained silent. He could not take his eyes off the fire. Something about it unsettled him, something older than memory, deeper than fear. It was not just warmth, it was will. The humans chanted around the flames, their voices carried into the cold night, words of defiance, words of rebirth, words of a people who had nothing left to lose. In the chamber below, the first man approached the alien commander again. His body was frail, his steps unsteady, but his eyes burned with the strength of 10,000 years. "You think we are weak because we slept," he said. "You think the ice broke us. You are wrong. The ice saved us. It made us ready. It made us strong." He raised his blade, chipped and ancient. "This world belongs to us. It always has. It always will." The humans behind him shouted in agreement, their voices rising like thunder. The aliens stepped back, uneasy. Even with their weapons, they felt small against the storm that was building. Aurila hissed, "Commander, give the order. Strike them down before it is too late." But Zyrek did not answer. His mind churned with the weight of choice. The night sky above Earth lit with the glow of alien warships. The humans below raised their fists toward the heavens. Fire burned in their eyes and in their hearts. For the first time since the Ice Age began, Earth was alive again. The last survivors had risen, and the war for the future had already begun. The Screen cut to black. The alien war council chamber filled with the sound of alarms. Reports flashed across the walls. More human vaults were opening. More survivors were stirring. The impossible had become truth. Humanity, thought dead for ages, was awake again. The commander, Zyrek, stood at the center of the chamber, silent and grim. Around him, his officers argued like predators circling prey. "They multiply by the hour," one officer shouted. "If we wait, they will become too strong." "Strong," another officer sneered. "Look at them, starved, weak, barely walking. They are nothing but animals." The room erupted in shouting voices, but the commander did not move. His mind returned again and again to the words of the child in the thawing chamber. That is the enemy from our legends. The debate turned vicious. Some demanded the extermination of every human pod before it opened. Others demanded research and study, seeing humanity as a rare miracle of endurance. The council had gathered to decide Earth's fate, but no one agreed on what that fate should be. Arila, the second officer, slammed her fist against the table. Her eyes glowed with fire. "You all argue like frightened hatchlings. Look at the truth. They are not supposed to be alive, yet they endure. They adapt faster than we can measure. They are dangerous." One of the scientists spoke, his voice calm but heavy with fear. "The ice has changed them. We analyzed their blood. They heal faster. They resist cold, toxins, even radiation. What killed countless other species made them stronger. They are evolving into something new." The chamber fell silent at his words. Orilla stepped forward, her gaze sharp. "Then you see it. If they rise again, no empire in the galaxy will stop them. The only answer is extermination." The silence broke as many officers shouted in agreement. Others shook their heads, refusing. One voice rose above the chaos. "And if extermination fails?" All eyes turned to the speaker. He was an elder strategist, scarred from centuries of war. "You underestimate them. If they survive 10,000 years of ice, what makes you think our fire will end them now? They do not die like other species. They endure, they return, they fight." The words sank deep into the chamber. Even Orilla said nothing. While the council clashed in orbit, Earth stirred below. In the thawed valleys, humans gathered around fires. They scavenged through ruins buried in ice. They unearthed relics of their ancestors, tools, weapons, records of old knowledge. Their bodies were frail, but every hour they grew stronger. Every breath brought back memories of a world once theirs. Children ran through the snow, their laughter sharp and clear. Men and women trained their muscles, lifted broken steel, practiced with sharpened sticks as if they were soldiers. They were rebuilding. The first man to awaken, named Kyle by his people, spoke to the survivors each night. His voice carried power, beyond his thin frame. "We are not broken. We are not forgotten. This is our world, and it beats again because we are here. The sky enemies think we are weak, but we will show them what it means to be human." The fires burned higher. The chants grew louder. The spirit of humanity returned with every sunrise. On the flagship, the alien scientists presented new data. They projected human DNA across the walls. Strange patterns glowed. "Commander," said the lead scientist, "we compared these humans to the records of the past. They are no longer the same. The freeze forced evolution at impossible speed. Their endurance is beyond anything in the Dominion. Their strength, even in children, already surpasses ours." Zyrek studied the glowing patterns, his jaw clenched. "Explain." "They are faster, their bones denser, their blood thicker. Even their minds adapt with terrifying speed. In time they will surpass us," Orilla snapped. "Then why waste time with charts and words? Burn the pods, burn the cities, burn them all before the fire spreads." But the scientist shook his head. "We tried to destroy one pod. The system resisted us. Human technology, primitive but cunning, was built to protect itself. It responded to our interference. If we destroy one, we may awaken hundreds more. The chamber stirred with unease. Humanity had prepared even for extinction. The officers turned to Zirek. All eyes demanded a choice. Exterminate or spare. End. The threat or study it, but the commander said nothing. His eyes were fixed on earth below. He saw fires glowing against the dark. He saw small human groups moving with purpose, already reshaping the land. He remembered the look in the child's eyes. Not fear, not confusion, but recognition. She had known him. She had known the enemy. Commander, Orilla pressed. If you hesitate, you doom us all. Zirek's claws tightened against the table. If we strike too soon, we may wake more of them. If we wait, they will rise. Either way, the danger is real. Orilla leaned closer, her voice sharp as a blade. Then, you must decide whose future matters more. The Dominion or a dead world's ghosts. On Earth, the humans lit more fires. They began to hunt, using sharpened spears to bring down thawed beasts. They built shelters from fallen ice and broken stone. They trained together, every action fueled by memory and defiance. Kyle led the survivors through the ruins of an ancient city. There they uncovered carvings, maps, and words left by their ancestors. "See this," Kyle said, his hand against the frozen stone. They knew the invaders would return. They left us warnings. They left us the truth. The humans gathered. Around, their eyes fierce. The writing on the stone spoke of betrayal, of a battle lost, of a promise. The promise that if humanity endured the ice, it would rise stronger than before. One of the young men clenched his fist. "Then this is the day we return." Their chants grew louder, echoing through the ruins. The fire of war was being lit once more. The council's arguments grew more violent. Some demanded immediate strikes, orbital bombardments to burn the thawing cities. Others argued that such actions would trigger resistance far worse than what they faced now. Orilla drew her blade and slammed it onto the table. "We waste time while they grow. Every second they remember more. Every second they prepare. Commander, give the order or step aside." The chamber froze. No one had ever spoken to Zirek like that. The commander turned slowly, his eyes blazing. "Step aside? You think command is a game? You think power is a prize? You know nothing of what we face?" Orilla did not flinch. "Then prove you know. Destroy them or admit your fear." The council erupted in shouts, but the commander silenced. Then with a single roar, his voice cut through the chamber like thunder. "I fear nothing. But I know this. The humans are not animals. They are not relics. They are a storm. Strike them now, and you may awaken the very force you fear. Wait too long, and they will rise beyond your reach. This is no simple choice." The chamber fell silent. Alarms blared again. A new report came in from the surface. The humans had discovered something. Deep beneath the ice, they had found a sealed vault, larger than any before. Inside it, machines, hummed with power, untouched by time. Weapons. The council gasped as the images appeared on the screen. Humans standing before ancient machines, their eyes burning with recognition. Orilla's voice broke the silence. "It has begun. They are not just rising. They are remembering." The camera feed flickered. A human hand reached toward one of the glowing machines. The moment before it activated, the screen went black. Zirek stared into the darkness. His claws dug deep into the table. The debate was over. The war had already started. The screen cut to black. The ice cracked like thunder. From deep beneath the frozen ruins, a vault door began to glow. Its surface burned with symbols older than memory. Steam hissed into the air as the metal shifted and groaned. The humans stood in silence, their eyes wide, their hearts racing. Something ancient, something left for them, was awakening. Kyle, the first man to rise from cryo-sleep, stepped forward. His breath formed clouds in the freezing air. His hand hovered above the strange door. The people behind him whispered in fear and awe. "Do it," one voice urged. "Don't," another warned. Cale pressed his palm against the surface. The door pulsed with light, scanning him, recognizing him. The ground rumbled. The vault opened. Inside lay machines, tall, rusted giants with glowing cores, tools, weapons, knowledge carved into steel and stone. The ancestors had left humanity not just to survive, but to fight again. The humans entered the vault. Torches flickered against the walls, lighting words carved by ancient hands. Warnings, instructions, promises. If the sky burns us, hide in the ice. If the stars betray us, wait in the dark. When the thaw comes, reclaim the fire. Rise again. Kyle's voice broke the silence. They knew the invaders would return, and they gave us this. He placed his hands on a massive machine that hummed with power. Sparks crackled across its surface. The humans gasped. For the first time in thousands of years, they felt the warmth of true fire, not just wood and stone, but the fire of their ancestors' science. The crowd erupted in shouts of joy and fear. Some knelt in worship, others raised their fists high. The fire had returned. Humanity had been given its inheritance. High above, the alien fleet watched the events unfold. The council chamber was filled with the glow of the vault on their screens. "They have found their weapons," one officer hissed. "This cannot be," another said. "Their kind was primitive, barely crawling through the stars. Yet look at this. These machines are advanced, cunning, built to last through the ages." Orilla turned to the commander, her face cold with fury. "Do you see now? You hesitated, and this is the cost. They have fire again. They will rise, and their first strike will be against us." Zyrek said nothing. His eyes stayed locked on the screen. He saw humans lifting ancient blades, touching glowing panels, reading words left for them like messages from ghosts. He saw their fear turning into power, their weakness turning into resolve. "They were waiting for this," Zyrek whispered. "This is no accident. This was always their plan." Inside the vault, humans explored every chamber. They found armor sealed in metal crates. They found weapons wrapped in protective coverings. They found libraries etched onto stone tablets and crystal data rods. The survivors gathered, their hands trembling as they touched knowledge older than their frozen slumber. Children listened wide-eyed as elders read aloud the words of the past. They spoke of machines that flew through the skies, of fire that burned brighter than suns, of battles fought among the stars. A young woman lifted a blade that glowed faintly with blue light. Though it had slept in darkness for millennia, it pulsed like a heartbeat. She swung it, and the air hummed. The crowd gasped. Kyle raised his voice. "This is not just survival. This is rebirth. Our ancestors left us the fire so we would never kneel again. The invaders thought the ice killed us, but the ice kept us safe, and now we rise." The chamber shook with the roar of human voices. Their spirit burned hotter than the machines around them. The alien council split further apart. Some officers demanded immediate orbital bombardment to shatter the vault. Others argued that such an act would awaken every hidden chamber across. Orilla leaned forward, her eyes locked on Zyrek. "If you wait one more hour, they will become a storm. You must order the strike. End this before it spreads." But Zyrek's voice was calm, almost haunted. "You do not understand. To end them is to prove their legends true. To strike them now is to confirm every word their ancestors left behind. Do you not see? This is why they hate us. This is why they endure." Orilla slammed her fist against the table. "Then you are a coward. You fear them. You let ghosts chain your command." The chamber erupted in shouts, but Zyrek silenced them with a single wave of his claw. His eyes burned as he spoke. "I fear nothing, but I respect what I see. They are not animals. They are not broken. They are the fire that refuses to die. The officers stared at him in shock. Some whispered of betrayal. Others whispered of prophecy. On the surface, the humans dragged their new weapons into the open. Fires burned across the thawing city. The glow lit the night sky, casting shadows that reached toward the alien ships above. Children trained with sticks. Men and women forged blades from the scraps of old machines. The vault gave them power, but their will gave it meaning. Kyle led his people into the ruins of an ancient tower. At its top, he planted a banner found in the vault. Its cloth was torn, its colors faded, but it stood tall against the icy wind. The humans gathered below, lifting their fists toward the banner. "This is our world. This is our fire. We rise." Their chants echoed across the ice. Even the aliens above could hear them through the machines that scanned the surface. Orilla could no longer stay silent. She turned to the commander with fury. "Do you hear them? They chant for war. They chant for blood. They chant against us. If you do not strike now, you betray the Dominion." Izirek's gaze stayed on Earth. He saw the flames. He heard the chants, and deep inside he felt something he could not explain. Admiration, fear, respect. "They are few," Zyrek said at last, "but they are not weak. And if the Dominion underestimates them again, it will pay the same price it paid long ago." The council erupted, voices clashing like swords. Some demanded Zyrek's removal, others demanded war, but the commander stood firm. "They have reclaimed fire," he said. "The storm is coming." On Earth, the vault's great machine roared to life. Gears turned, lights flared, and the ground trembled. Humans watched in awe as a giant construct rose from the chamber, its eyes glowing with ancient fire. A weapon, from their past, a symbol of their future. The people cheered, their voices shaking the ice. Kyle raised his blade high. "Tonight we reclaim our world." In orbit, Orilla's eyes widened in rage and fear. "Commander, if you will not act, then—" "I will." Her hand reached for the console, her ship's weapons armed. Fire lit the barrels of alien cannons. And below, humanity's first war machine awakened. The screen cut to black. The sky burned red. Alien cannons lit the horizon with fire. The ground shook, ice split, and ancient ruins crumbled. The humans scattered for cover, but they did not run in fear. They watched, they measured, and they waited. Kale stood on a jagged ridge, his eyes locked on the alien warship above. The craft glowed like a star, weapons pulsing, engines roaring. The people behind him expected death. Instead, Kale raised his hand. "Not today," he said. The hook had begun. The alien barrage fell hard, hammering the earth with glowing blasts. Yet when the dust cleared, humans emerged from the ruins, alive. Their bodies bore cuts and burns, but they moved with strange resilience. One man staggered forward, blood on his face, but his voice roared strong. "We are not broken." Another lifted a fallen stone block, heavier than any human should bear. He threw it aside as if it weighed nothing. The survivors gasped. This was not luck, this was not chance. Something had changed in them. Kyle's eyes narrowed. "The ice did more than keep us alive. It made us stronger." In orbit, Orilla's ship tracked the battle. Her officers scanned the humans, expecting weakness, expecting death, but the numbers on their screens made no sense. "Commander, their strength is beyond predicted levels. Their bones are denser. Their blood resists radiation. Their skin endures toxins. This is impossible." Orilla leaned closer to the screen. She watched a human child stand in flames and survive long enough to be pulled to safety. She watched warriors climb ruins with unnatural speed. Her voice trembled with rage. "They should be ashes. Instead, they are evolving into something we cannot control." On the surface, a young woman named Lyra stood before a fallen war machine. Its metal frame crushed the earth, its glowing parts still dangerous. The crowd gathered, whispering that it was impossible to move. Kyle called out, "Lyra, step back!" But she shook her head. "No, we do not step back anymore." She placed her hands on the wreck, muscles straining, teeth clenched. Slowly, impossibly, the giant machine began to shift. Stones cracked beneath her feet. The humans gasped, their voices rising in awe. Lyra lifted the ruin high enough for children trapped below to crawl free. When she dropped the wreck aside, silence filled the air. Then the silence broke into thunderous cheers. "She carries the strength of 10, someone cried. "She carries the strength of us all," Kyle answered. Inside the alien council chamber, voices rose in panic. "They cannot be allowed to spread," one shouted. "They are still few," another argued. "A single strike could wipe them out." But the data was clear. Every scan, every reading showed the same truth. Humanity was not only surviving, they were adapting faster than any species in known history. Cyrex spoke at last. "We tried to freeze them. We tried to bury them. The ice did not break them, it sharpened them. You cannot kill fire by covering it in snow. You only prepare it for the day it burns again." Orilla slammed her clawed fist against the table. "Then burn them all before they burn us." The vaults revealed more secrets. Humans discovered chambers where their ancestors had prepared them for this moment. Records explained how their bodies would adapt to cold, hunger, and radiation. The cryo-sleep had not only preserved them, it had transformed them. Kyle read the words carved into crystal rods. "When the sky returns, you will not be as you were. You will be as you must." The people trained day and night. They tested their limits, running through frozen fields, lifting stone blocks, enduring storms without shelter. With every day, their strength grew. With every trial, their courage hardened. Children learned faster than any records predicted. Elders healed from wounds once thought fatal. Humanity was becoming something new, something the aliens had not planned for. The aliens, furious at their failure, launched a direct strike. Warships descended, troops marched across the ice, their weapons glowing bright. They expected an easy slaughter, but humanity was ready. Hidden in ruins, Kyle raised his blade. "Now!" he shouted. The humans attacked, swift, relentless, unyielding. They struck with stones, with blades, with fire stolen from the vault. They leapt farther, hit harder, and endured wounds that should have ended them. The alien soldiers fired, but even as humans fell, more rose in their place. They moved with fury, with strength born of centuries of waiting. For the first time, the aliens retreated. In orbit, Orilla stared at the screens, her voice low with disbelief. "They pushed us back. They fought with sticks and steel, and they pushed us back," her officers whispered in fear. "If they reach the other vaults, if they find more weapons, they will rise faster than we can stop." Zyrek spoke quietly, but his words carried power. "The Dominion always feared them. That is why we buried their world in ice. Not because they were weak, but because we knew one day they would not be." In the camps, survivors lit great fires that glowed across the night. Around them, they sang old songs, chants of defiance, words carried from their ancestors. Lyra stood before the people, her voice strong. "We were told we were broken. We were told we were gone. But look at us now, stronger than we were, stronger than they ever believed." Kyle raised his blade to the firelight. "This is not the end. This is the beginning. Earth is not a grave. Earth is a forge, and we are the fire it forged." The people roared in answer. Their voices shook the night sky. In orbit, Orilla turned to her officers, fury burning in her eyes. "Enough waiting, enough fear. Tomorrow we end them. No survivors, no second chances." But Zyrek's voice cut through the chamber. "You will not end them. You will only prove them right." Orilla's hand moved to her weapon. Her eyes narrowed. "Then you stand with them, Commander. And as her ship's weapons armed, the humans below prepared for the war they knew was coming. The night ended with fire on both sides, Earth glowing with defiance, the skies glowing with alien rage. The night exploded with fire. Alien warships filled the sky, their weapons glowing like false suns. The ground split under the first strikes, sending humans sprawling across the ruins. Yet the survivors did not scatter. They stood, teeth clenched, blades in hand, eyes blazing with fury. Kyle lifted his weapon, the ancient blade that shimmered in blue light. Around him the people roared against the storm. They were outnumbered, outgunned and outmatched, but they were ready to fight. This was the hook. The clash had begun. Alien soldiers poured from ships armored in steel and light, weapons humming. With deadly power, their movements were sharp, precise, flawless. They expected fear. They expected humans to break and run, but humanity did not break. The first alien squad charged forward, firing beams that scorched stone and shattered walls. Kyle leapt aside, the beam searing past his face. He landed hard, rolled, and came up, swinging. His blade carved through armor with a flash. The alien soldier fell, sparks bursting from his broken suit. Gasps rose from both sides. A human had struck down an armored warrior of the Dominion. The humans erupted in cheers, their courage igniting. They surged forward, screaming their battle cries. The ruins shook as the clash tore through the frozen city. Lyra fought at Kale's side, her strength greater than any ordinary human. She tore weapons from alien hands, wielded them against their own masters, and hurled soldiers across the battlefield with power born from frozen endurance. A beam struck her shoulder, burning. Flesh, yet she fought on, her eyes blazing. Pain is nothing, Earth has given us more. The humans followed her example, fighting through wounds, refusing to fall. They moved with speed that shocked their enemies, endured hits that should have ended them, and struck with fury no alien could match. For every human that fell, 3 more rose in their place. In orbit, Arila watched the battle unfold. Her claws dug into the console. Impossible. They should be scattered. They should be dust beneath our boots. An officer's voice trembled. "Commander, their resistance is spreading. More vaults are awakening. More humans are joining our fight." Arila's eyes narrowed. "Then burn the vaults, burn the cities. Leave no stone standing." Her ships rained fire across the land. Entire ruins collapsed in thunderous crashes. Flames rose into the frozen air. Yet through the smoke, humans crawled out, coughing, bleeding, but alive. Zyrek stood silently behind her, watching the screens. At last he spoke. "Do you see? The more you strike them, the more they endure. This is why they terrify the Dominion. This is why no empire could ever claim their world." Orilla turned, her face filled with rage. "You admire them. You are a traitor." On the battlefield, Kale raised the ancient banner high, its tattered cloth waving in the smoke. His voice roared across the chaos. "This is Earth. You cannot take it. You cannot break it. We are the fire that survives the storm." The people answered with a thunder of voices. Their chants rose above the clash of steel and the roar of alien weapons. Their defiance echoed to the skies. For the first time, alien soldiers hesitated. They looked at the humans not as prey, but as something else. Something dangerous, something unstoppable. Lyra hurled a captured alien cannon into the air. Kyle's blade struck it, igniting an explosion that tore through an enemy squad. The humans cheered, their courage blazing higher than the fires around them. The aliens unleashed their machines, tall war constructs armed with heavy cannons. Their steps cracked the earth as they advanced. The humans stared in awe, fear rippling through. Their lines, Kyle gritted his teeth. "We take them down or we fall." The war machines fired, beams scorching the battlefield. Humans scattered, some falling, others screaming in pain. But Lyra charged forward, sprinting faster than the machines could track. She leapt onto one, climbed its frame, and drove her glowing blade deep into its core. The machine shook violently before collapsing in a burst of fire. The humans roared in triumph, their fear replaced with fury. They swarmed the other machines, climbing, striking, tearing them apart, piece by piece. The battlefield turned into chaos. Alien war machines burned. Human war cries shook the air. The council chamber filled with noise as officers argued. Some demanded retreat, others demanded total annihilation. Orilla stood tall, her voice like a blade. "We crush them here, or the galaxy will learn the truth. Humanity cannot be allowed to rise again." Zirek's gaze stayed on the battle. His voice was calm but heavy. "It is too late. The galaxy will see this no matter what you do. You cannot bury fire once it burns, and humanity burns brighter than ever." Orilla's eyes narrowed. "Then I will drown their fire in blood." On Earth, Kyle fought through smoke and flames, his blade cutting through alien ranks. His body burned with exhaustion, yet his spirit refused to bend. Around him, the people fought like a storm. Lyra's strength carried her through the thickest of battles, her war cry echoing across the ruins. Children threw stones, elders swung blades, every hand rose against the invaders. For every alien weapon, the humans answered with defiance. For every strike, they answered with rage. For every death, they answered with fire. The battlefield became a storm of two worlds, one born of steel and power, the other of fury and survival. But even as humans pushed back, the truth was clear. They were still few, their weapons were old, their numbers too small. The alien fleet above was endless and their firepower unmatched. Kyle looked to the sky, his jaw clenched. "We cannot hold forever. We need more. We need everything our ancestors left for us." As if answering his words, the ground rumbled. From the vault behind them, another great machine rose, larger than the first. A war construct built by human hands, glowing with ancient fire. The humans gasped in awe. Their ancestors had not only left them knowledge, they had left them weapons to fight the sky. The alien fleet turned its cannons toward the rising construct. Orilla's voice thundered through the chamber. "Destroy it! Now!" Kyle raised his blade toward the sky. The humans roared behind him, their voices shaking the ruins. The ancient war machine's eyes flared with light, its engines roaring like thunder. For the first time in millennia, Earth answered the sky with its own fire. The screen cut to black. The ground shook like a beating heart. From the vault rose the human war machine, its towering frame glowing with ancient fire. Eyes of molten blue lit the frozen night. Its roar echoed like thunder across the battlefield. Both humans and aliens froze at the sight. For the first time, since the thaw, Earth itself stood tall against the sky. Kel lifted his blade toward the machine. His voice roared above the chaos. "Our ancestors built it for this day. Today, we rise." The people screamed their defiance, their chants shaking the ruins. The aliens hesitated, fear twisting through their ranks. This was the hook. The uprising had begun. In orbit, Orilla's chamber filled with alarm. Officers shouted, their voices cracking with fear. "Commander, the construct has activated. Its power rivals our heavy cannons. It should not function after all this time. This is impossible." Orilla's eyes burned. "Nothing is impossible for them. That is why we froze their world. That is why we must finish them now." She slammed her claw onto the console. "Every ship, every weapon, focus on that machine. Burn it until nothing remains." The alien fleet shifted, dozens of cannons aiming down at the rising construct. The sky itself seemed to tremble. On the ground, Kyle turned to his people. "The fire is with us, but the fire alone is not enough. We must fight beside it. We must show them what humanity is. The humans roared in answer. With blades, spears, scavenged alien weapons, and bare hands, they surged forward. Their chants rolled like thunder. Their eyes burned with the strength of their frozen blood. The aliens advanced to meet them. Two armies, two worlds, collided in the ruins of Earth. The alien fleet unleashed fire, beams raining from the sky. Explosions tore through the battlefield. Yet the human war machine raised its arms and shielded the people below. Energy burned against energy. The ground shook under the fury of two worlds. In the chaos, humans fought with savage brilliance. They swarmed alien soldiers, dragging them down with ropes, knives, and fists. They stole weapons from fallen enemies and turned them back against their masters. Lyra tore through ranks of armored warriors, her strength unmatched. She moved like a storm, striking faster than the enemy could react. Her war cry echoed across the ruins. Kyle led the charge at the front. His blade clashed against alien steel, sparks flying with each strike. His body ached, his blood burned, but he refused to fall. The war machine struck again, firing a beam of pure fire into the sky. An alien warship exploded, its burning wreck falling into the frozen sea. The humans cheered as the flames lit the horizon, but the alien fleet answered with fury. Their combined cannons unleashed a storm of energy, slamming into the war machine. Its armor cracked, its core shuddered. Kyle shouted, "Hold! Do not break!" The people raised their voices louder, chanting with every strike. The machine trembled, but it did not fall. With every chant, with every cry, it seemed to grow stronger, as if the will of humanity itself kept it alive. Inside the alien command, voices rose in panic. They are feeding it with their spirit. It should not stand, yet it resists our fire. This is no war machine. This is a symbol. This is why they are feared. Aurilla's face twisted with fury. Symbols burn like anything else. If it takes the entire fleet, I will turn their fire into ashes. But Zirek's voice cut through, the chamber steady and unyielding. Every strike you make proves their prophecy. Every blast you fire makes them stronger. You are not ending them. You are awakening them. The council fell silent. Fear rippled through the ranks. Aurilla's hand hovered over her weapon, her eyes locked on Zyrek. On Earth, more vaults opened. Across the frozen wastelands, survivors emerged. Some carried ancient blades, others carried torches lit from fires long forgotten. They marched toward the battle, their chants joining the roar. Children carried banners. Elders raised weapons. Every voice, every step added to the storm. Kyle looked across the battlefield. His people were no longer just survivors. They were an army. He raised his blade high. This is our uprising. This is our world. Let the stars hear us tonight. The humans roared, their voices shaking the skies. The war machine struck once more, its beam piercing the sky. Another alien warship exploded in flame. Humans surged forward with renewed fury. They climbed machines, dragged soldiers down, and fought with fire in their veins. The battlefield became a storm of light and blood. Alien armor cracked under human hands. Alien weapons fell to human defiance. Even as bodies lay broken, even as blood stained the snow, the humans refused to yield. Every death made them fight harder. Every loss made them burn brighter. The uprising spread beyond the ruins. Across the thawing lands, humans rose from hidden shelters, their voices carrying the same chant. Earth was awakening everywhere. In orbit, officers trembled as reports came in. Resistance is spreading across continents. More vaults are opening. More machines are activating. The humans are uniting. Aurilla's voice broke into a roar. Silence! I will not be defeated by a frozen species clawing out of the dirt. I will bury them again. I swear it. But Zyrek stepped forward, his voice calm. You cannot bury fire. You can only fear it. Aurilla's hand moved to her weapon. Then you will fall with them. On Earth, the war machine staggered under the weight of alien fire. Its armor cracked, its glow dimmed. The humans raised their voices louder, their chants desperate, furious, unyielding. Kyle climbed onto the machine's shoulder, his blade raised high. "We rise together." The people roared with him, their voices reaching the heavens. In orbit, Orilla ordered every cannon to fire. The alien fleet shifted, the sky filling with deadly light. The battlefield froze in silence for a heartbeat. Humans stared up, aliens steadied their aim. The war machine's core flared one last time. The night erupted, the screen cut to black. The sky was fire. Alien cannons lit the heavens, every ship in orbit unleashing its power toward Earth. The frozen planet shook under the storm. The war machine stood in the center of it all, its armor cracking, its glow fading yet still unbroken. On its shoulder, Kyle raised his blade to the burning night. "Stand with me," he roared. The voices of thousands rose to meet his cry. The chant shook the ruins, rolled across the wastelands, and reached even the stars. This was the hook. Humanity stood at the edge of extinction, but their fire was burning brighter than ever before. The alien fleet's bombardment rained down, scorching the ground, melting the frozen seas. The war machine's shields flared and flickered. Cracks spread through its armor like veins of fire. Lyra, covered in blood and ash, looked up at the machine. "It cannot hold," Kyle's voice thundered. "Then we will hold it, with our will, with our fire." The people screamed their defiance. As the sky burned, they refused to kneel. High above, inside the alien flagship, Commander Orilla watched the storm of destruction. Her claws dug into the console as fury twisted her face. "End them!" she snarled. "Burn them until nothing remains but ash." Her officers obeyed, their voices shaking with fear. Yet even as the bombardment raged, reports came flooding in. Another vault has opened. More humans are rising. Their chants grow stronger. Orilla's eyes burned. "I do not care if they chant. I do not care if they bleed fire. They will fall." But Zyrek stepped forward, his voice calm and steady. "You are wrong, Orilla. Every blast you fire feeds their will. Every ship you send only proves their prophecy true." Orilla turned, her weapon drawn, her fury unleashed. "You dare defy me?" Zyrek did not move, his eyes held hers. "I do more than defy you, I choose them." Gasps filled the chamber. Alien officers stared, in shock. For the first time, one of their own had chosen humanity over their empire. Orilla raised her weapon to strike. Zyrek moved first. He struck with a hidden blade, plunging it into the console beside him. Sparks burst. Alarms screamed. The flagships. Systems shuddered. "Now," he whispered. The cannons faltered. For the first time, the storm paused. On Earth, Kale looked to the sky as the bombardment slowed. His heart pounded. "Someone is with us." The humans roared louder, their chants rolling like thunder. The war machine staggered, its armor glowing. Faint. Then something strange happened. Its core pulsed, not with fading light, but with new fire. The chants of the people seemed to flow into it. Every cry, every scream, every roar of defiance fed its heart. Its eyes blazed brighter than ever before. Its broken armor sealed with light. It stood taller, stronger, more alive. Kale shouted from its shoulder, "Do you see? We are the fire." The war machine raised its arms, and a storm of energy burst forth. Beams of pure fire tore into the sky, striking alien ships one after another. Explosions lit the heavens like falling stars. On the ground, humans surged forward, fighting with wild strength. Alien soldiers broke under the wave, their weapons stolen, their lines shattered. Lyra cut through the enemy like a living storm. Her eyes blazed, her voice rose above the chaos. "We rise together." Everywhere, humans fought with hands, blades, fire, and fury. Even the children carried stones and torches, refusing to hide. The uprising had become a world on fire. In orbit, chaos spread through the alien fleet. Ships collided as the war machine's beams tore through them. Officers shouted in panic. Soldiers faltered in fear. Zyrek stood tall, his blade still glowing. You cannot stop them. They are what we feared. They are what we froze. But you cannot kill fire. Orilla screamed with rage. She struck at him with her claws. Zyrek blocked, their weapons clashing in a storm of sparks. The command chamber shook as another ship exploded nearby. Outside the windows, Earth's fire filled the void. On the ground, Kyle fought through the battlefield toward the alien landing. Craft. He knew Orilla was still alive. He knew the commander would never stop until humanity was gone. Through flames and blood, Kyle cut a path. Lyra fought at his side, her strength unbroken. At last, they reached the landing site. The ramp lowered, and Orilla stepped out, her armor glowing with alien fire, her eyes burning with hate. "You think you have won," she snarled. "You are children screaming at the stars. I will bury you again." Kyle raised his blade. "We are not children. We are the storm." The duel began. Kyle and Orilla struck with fury. His blade met her claws, sparks flying with every clash. She moved with speed and strength beyond human measure. He fought with every ounce of will, every drop of fire in his veins. The battle raged across the ruins. Orilla slammed him back, her claws tearing stone. Kyle staggered, blood on his face, but he refused to fall. Lyra charged to his side, but Orilla struck her down with a brutal blow. Lyra fell, gasping, her eyes still burning with defiance. Kyle screamed in rage, his blade burning brighter. He fought with savage fury, his strikes relentless. Orilla roared back, their clash shaking the earth. The war machine loomed behind them, its core blazing like a star. Its voice thundered, not with words but with the roar of fire. Kyle raised his blade high. "For Earth!" Orilla lunged, claws aimed for his heart. Kyle struck with all his strength, his blade cutting through her armor. Orilla's scream echoed across the battlefield. Her claws faltered, her eyes filled with shock. She fell, her body crashing to the frozen ground. The commander of the alien fleet lay broken at the feet of humanity. Silence fell for a moment. Then the humans roared louder than ever before. Their voices shook the skies. Their chants rolled across the world. The alien soldiers broke. Some fled to their ships, others threw down their weapons and knelt. The fleet above, leaderless and burning, began to retreat. Earth had risen. Humanity had returned. In orbit, Zyrek stood at the window of the shattered flagship, watching the fleet retreat. His hands trembled, but his eyes were steady. He had chosen humanity, and he knew the price. He sent one last message down to the surface. "You are free. Do not waste it." Then the flagship exploded in fire, taking him with it. On the ground, Kyle stood atop the war machine, his blade raised. High! His people gathered below, their voices rising in one final chant. "We are humanity. We endure. We rise." The war machine lowered its arms, its fire dimming at last. The battle was over. Lyra limped to Kyle's side, her wounds deep but her spirit unbroken. She looked at the sky, where the last alien ships fled into the void. "It is done," she whispered. Kyle answered, his voice steady. "No. It has just begun." The humans raised their torches, their weapons, their voices. Fire spread across the ruins, not of destruction, but of life. The frozen world had awoken. Humanity had returned. Far beyond the stars, in the shadows of the galaxy, other species heard the tale. They heard how Earth had risen from the ice, how humanity had faced extinction and roared back into the void. Some trembled in fear, others whispered in awe. The message spread like fire. Enter human space at your own risk, for humanity had returned, and they would never fall again.